So, this is not a rant about any boss in particular. It's not about any one bad company or a broken culture. It's just something I've seen across industries and teams where good people are told to figure it out and they slowly get crushed by the weight of that. Let's talk about it. Not to blame, but to name what's happening because when we name something, maybe we can start doing something about it. But first, let me make my coffee. Alright. In the creator economy, most people actually don't get promised creative freedom, and that's okay as long as it's clear at the onset. What they're told is to actually figure things out. What happens when the goal is not even clear? What happens when KPIs shift every few weeks, or feedback gets vague, or timelines actually tighten without warning? In theory, you're there to build, yes, and that's okay. You're getting paid to do it. But in practice, you're actually chasing a moving target. And when everything keeps moving almost daily, you don't get to build anything that sticks. John Doerr, funny how his name is actually very much related to the book that he wrote, In Measure What Matters, said this line that keeps echoing in my head. He says, if we try to focus on everything, we focus on nothing. And that's a trap. If everything feels urgent, nothing feels anchored, if you're resetting priorities every other meeting, no one knows what they're building toward. And don't get me wrong, we're not complaining about everything that's being urgent. It's when everything's urgent and nothing's so clear at all. It's when chaos actually really happens in creative teams. And that's when problem solving starts to feel like surviving. Because you pour everything into a plan, then halfway through, the direction shifts. The work you've done gets unapproved. The pieces you held together fall apart again. And if you're part of a creative team, you're not being dramatic. You're actually adapting. But it starts to wear you down for sure. They won't pitch ideas anymore. They wait instead of pitching. They second guess what they're good at. And when creatives start to reach that point where they're second guessing where they're at, even third guessing, fourth guessing, that's actually dangerous for them. That's a time that they start contributing less or even to a point they just execute. And the goal is executing, right? But they're executing without their whole being. And when they're not executing with their whole being, we're not sure what kind of output or quality they come out with. And this is not because they're weak, but this is because they care. And when people care, the lack of structure actually hurts all the more. I said that in my first video. So if you're a creative team member, what if it's not you? What if it's a system? I mean, I've said this before, creatives don't burn out because they're lazy. They burn out because they're invested. When you want to deliver, when you actually care, and you're inside a system that's always shifting, always unclear, it actually drains you. So if you've been wondering if it's just you, it's probably not. It might just be that the structure can't hold what you're capable of bringing. The book Execution, The Discipline of Getting Things Done puts it this way. When companies fail to deliver on their promises, the most frequent explanation is that the strategy was wrong. But the strategy itself is often not the problem. It's the execution. We tend to overcredit new ideas and underinvest in follow through. But execution is what holds the whole thing together. Otherwise, it just falls apart. So I'm not here to paint a perfect picture. I don't even think that there is one. But systems, real ones, they do exist. They exist to serve both the people and the mission. Execution actually really matters. Clear roles matter. Consistent OKRs or KPIs, things you can return to, measure against, those matter. And here's the thing, culture and clarity are not separate. Again, John Doerr says healthy culture and structured goal setting are interdependent. You can't expect a healthy team if the goals keep shifting. And you can't hold people accountable to outcomes that were never clear at the onset. Fellow creatives, we stay flexible, yes, but flexibility without clarity, that's chaos. The same book, Execution, breaks it down further. The heart of execution lies in three things: the people process, the strategy process, and the operations process. If even one of those breaks down, people burn out. Strategy stalls, operations bottleneck, and no one really knows why. So the team keeps figuring it out, but no one's actually fixing it. Strong systems are not at all rigid. They're steady, and when they're done right, they give your team something to build around, not build from scratch every time. David Parmenter, in his work on KPIs, puts it sharply, and he says too many organizations are drowning in sea of measures with little understanding of what they truly need to know. And that's the trap we fall into, confusing measurement with meaning. So we've got dashboards filled with metrics, but none of them tell the team where they're actually headed. So we track impressions, open rates, and how many things got done, but we ignore whether the right things are actually being done. And when everything is measured, nothing is prioritized at all. That's how teams lose clarity. It's not because they don't care, but it's because they're buried with metrics that don't serve the mission at all. Speaking of systems, we don't entrust the systems to the creatives themselves. The reason why there are leadership roles like creative director and maybe operations director or whatever they call it in other teams, they're there to actually be the ones to think of the best possible solutions and to make sure that their assistants in place. So we don't entrust it. We don't lead that responsibility to the creatives themselves. They're supposedly there to actually just execute whatever needs to be executed in the created outputs. So we have to make sure that this system will work well for them so that they can deliver good creative outputs. Like imagine if you if you hired them with so much impressive um portfolio, and then you wonder what happened to them, etc., etc. They were very impressive in the interview, and if that happens to you, then the next question is: are we putting the right systems for them to thrive? Oh, and one more thing is part of the systems is actually a good structure, and structure doesn't always mean team leaders or team structure. It could also mean just having a good, clear Google Doc where an SOP is in place for them. I've worked with creator teams, nonprofit teams, YouTube businesses, and here's what I've seen very clearly. The unclear systems actually hurt more than bad ideas ever do. I had a privilege of meeting with someone who runs YouTube channels, but at the same time, he does it to add more meaningful content. And they're doing basically animations, and it's tied to social responsibility as well. But mind you, it's actually earning a lot. And he told me straight that he may not offer the highest salaries, but what he does offer is actually protection for the creative well-being of his team. And that's probably very much needed because, a lot of their uh, work involves creative storytelling. He said something like, we don't just hire for skill, we hire for fit. And if someone doesn't end up, joining us, it's not rejection, it's probably redirection to where they're meant to thrive. And this does not just apply to y- YouTube channels or creator teams or creative teams that really highly focus on creative storytelling, but even for the ones that has just systematic approach of doing things. Like you don't need so much creative freedom for the projects that you're doing. Even so, systems are actually needed, and systems are there to make sure that they're able to thrive, to make sure that they're able to, you know, move forward to another day, still looking forward to the job that they're about to do. Because in the end, people thrive when this space makes room for them, and people shut down when it doesn't. So if you're navigating a system that keeps asking for clarity but doesn't give it, maybe the system's what needs to shift, not so much the people in your team. Or maybe you're that part of the team and you're waiting for the leaders to actually change the system. Just remember today that it might not be you who's the problem. So rather than putting the blame on yourself, just try to survive another day at work without actually thinking that it's you. Maybe that will make you last even longer in that team. So as we end, please leave a comment if you've been there, subscribe if you're trying to build something better. This is a space for co-learning. I'm not preaching here. And while you're at it, you might want to watch this other video. I talked about why anxiety is quietly breaking the creator economy.